What's up, people? Another good evening. Good evening to you, and good evening to yours. This is Carpo After Dark, coming at you from the Pacific Northwest, where even when it's dark, it's light. Can't avoid that light pollution, but at least you can see the trees, right? Blowing in the wind, a little bit cool out there. I like to think of myself as normal, but what is normal, right? And I'm going to bring up a topic here that some people find funny and some people might find totally offensive, but what's up with Japanese people? Before I go any further with this, I want to say this is all in fun. I'm not, obviously not a racist or a bigot. I embrace all cultures, and I know that, they have completely different traditions and ideals than we do. But more importantly than that, I understand that not all Japanese people represent the Japan that we see. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this, because, Americans think, oh my God, the Japanese are wild and crazy. But the things that we hear about Japan, are really the fad and fashion things, and that's kind of the things they hear about us too. It's like they say, we were talking about Japan, somebody was telling, we were talking about how they litter, and don't recycle as much, and give you bags with everything when you buy it, and how they maybe haven't caught up to like the green revolution, if you will. I don't know if that's true, that's just what I heard, but I was thinking more along the lines of like with cartoons, and I was watching this cartoon with my son. We just turned it on. It was some bear, Boonie Bears or something, and I didn't know what it was, but I looked, and the people who had made it were, Japanese names. So I gave it about 5 minutes, and it was out of there. I cannot stand, and it wasn't Japanimation. It wasn't even that type of crazy, wild animation, but it was even worse. It was just the characters are horrible. They talk loud and over each other, even in English, and it's just obnoxious, and I can't stand it. Japanimation, like all those shows and Pokemon kind of stuff like that, is just, I try to respect all forms of art and, like all cartoons and stuff. I just can't like that stuff. It's just trash to me, but people love it. Anime, is that the same thing? I guess, yeah, that's what it is, anime. The anime porn is a huge industry too. That's just a whole nother world, If you ever have, gone on any of the torrent websites, because when you use the torrent websites, the people that they advertise to on there are they assume that the lowest lowlifes use it, so they advertise with some of the nastiest, porn characters, all with their big Japanese eyes, all crying, and, just disgusting things to me, and I know that people have sexual fantasies and whatever. That's a totally different story, but it seems like, the Japanese culture, and when I say this, I mean the Japanese fad culture, not the real Japan, because I feel like the elders in Japan are probably totally ashamed of the way that they're represented. And this is, when I was thinking about this is why I wanted to make this video, really, was to compare this to America, and how the rest of the world views Americans as a bunch of spoiled, egotistical, argumentative jerks, because the few that represent our country and the popular culture that represents our country is very self-righteous and materialistic. We don't really embrace, the things that we do embrace, at least the things that mainstream culture embraces is garbage, and the rest of the world probably uses that as a gauge to how Americans are, and that's just not the way it is. Most Americans are hardworking, good people that just want a better world for everybody, and we're just stuck in this machine like everyone. But people point the finger. Americans, it's just like the same with the Japanese, and but Japan is a strange culture to me, and they have a lot of strange customs, and I think that's why I really wanted to bring it up, was just to, it's such an extreme version. They have some of the most modern cities, and yet are so different from us right across the ocean, different people, different cultures. I mean, they eat all kinds of stuff that I would never even touch. It's wild. So I guess that was it, really. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick, and next thing you know, I'll start talking about Asian drivers, and that's not right. Stereotypes to me, though, are something that's okay to talk about, because it's something that our culture has a reality to face. In other words, just like facing racism, you talk about it, because if you don't, we just push it to the back and pretend it doesn't exist. Many of the stereotypes of cultures are true a lot of the time, and that's how stereotypes form. They don't just pop in out of nothing. You don't just create an opinion that let's take the Asians are bad drivers one, for example. Why does this seem to be the case so often? This is just my experience in life, that often, I'll see an Asian driving very slow in the fast lane, or doing something just like doesn't seem to be paying attention, and I try to tell myself, okay, don't be racist about this, because I know there's just as many whites doing it, just as many blacks doing it. It doesn't matter what color you are. But there seems to be more of a ratio of Asians that drive like that, and I'm curious to know whether or not that's just some association that I've made because of that social programming, or if it's something that may be true. But my suspicion is that many of the stereotypes that we use, although we joke and scoff and say it's all on pretend, many of them are true. And many of the stereotypes about white people are true too, the old white people can't jump thing, It's like, why are there so many black athletes? Well, blacks have a better physique for it, and a better, perhaps their heart and their respiratory system function better in sports. I don't know. I do know that different races do have different genetic variances, which give them different degrees of strengths and weaknesses, such as in fighting viruses and whatnot. And I can't think of any of the specific diseases, but I think sickle cell anemia is one of them. I think that's very specific to the black population. And so these little things that are, not just stereotypes about, that are bad, but just differences that we should learn to embrace, rather than to pretend like it should be this homogenized society where everyone is happy and the same, because we're not the same. We're all different. Even individual people are different. Twins are different, You can imagine how different a set of identical twins can be, And then you think about families and states and nations. And so I guess the thing to me is that it's interesting to look at other cultures, to look at Japan and say, wow, what a weird culture to me. But not in a bad way. Just say it's totally weird to me. But it's just because it's foreign and it's different. It doesn't mean that it should be the way that I see it. I'd rather have Japan be the way they are, is what I'm saying. Just like so many other cultures, because that's what makes life interesting, is the differences between people and cultures. You could spend a lifetime studying different practices and beliefs and still never even touch the surface. I think there's like 6,000 religions. So, anyway, peace and love to you all, and hope you all have a great evening. No, that's just the generalized peace and love, of course. Not the full-blown love. I was talking about that last night with what is love, But I tend to use it in a general sense with people to say, hey, I do love every soul and being the way I love myself, But of course I come first, right? You gotta keep yourself supported and alive, but anyway. Rambling on out the door. It's raining pretty good out here. Take care, everybody.